Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Katie and today I'm going to be walking through the 2025 March templates from Kiwi Lane along with the other ones that they suggest going with it. And then we're going to create a 2-page spread using the Fabulous collection from Close to My Heart. First, I want to show you this month's kit. It is a beautiful one. So you get this awesome oversized hexagon with the hearts to the side, and you can flip it back and forth like I'm showing you, so you can use the hearts on the right or the left. Then you get a couple of florals, a really cute heart, a swan, and a giant leaf, which beautiful and really versatile. I really like this kit because you can use it in so many ways. It definitely screams weddings, it screams birthdays, Mother's Day, spring, faith-filled things. You know, you can scrapbook so much with this, but you're going to see that I did a very different take on this. And like I said, I'm using the Fabulous collection from Close to My Heart, which is definitely a Halloween feel to it, but I'm using it kind of as a memorial scrapbook page to our cat that recently passed away. So with Kiwi Lane, you always get the month kit templates, and then they always suggest other ones. So this one is tiny plants, and you can see that one leaf is the smaller version of that giant leaf, and they definitely pair together really well. You can put them together as kind of like a cluster. It's just really versatile and nice. Definitely go together. And then the next templates that they suggested was Storybrooke Lane, and that one is a border set. So I really like this border set. It is one of the first border sets that I have ever purchased, and I really like that kind of curved edge to it, and I'm kind of showing you on this paper. So when you are a club member, you get access to their digital idea book as well, and that is where I got this idea from. I bought the paper probably a few years ago. It is from 2022, so I can only imagine I bought it at least that long ago. And I bought it because the black cat on it reminded me of our black cat, and that's what I'm scrapbooking today. I'm going to scrapbook some pictures of my kids and Lucky, our black cat, who unfortunately just recently passed away. So I started with some plain white cardstock, and I actually added some glitter to it because the plain background was just way too boring for me. So I don't actually show the technique. I have that on some prior videos showing you kind of how I do that technique. I am using the old Close to My Heart shimmer or glimmer pens, but you can use Wink of Stella, and I'm sure other carriers make the glitter pens as well. So right here, I'm just like simply gluing it down, and then remember, oh yeah, I wanted that hexagon tucked behind, but no worries. The tape is kind of, at least for the most part, repositionable at this point in time. So I was able to get it up and kind of tuck it back in there. And I really do like these hexagons that came in it, because the hexagons, so you can either use an X-Acto knife to kind of cut out the middle if you want to, but you can see I cut off one little edge, and this is a technique tip that I learned from Kiwi Lane as well. You just kind of cut off an edge if you're not really a fan of an X-Acto knife, or you're kind of, leery about using an X-Acto knife. If you just cut off one of those edges and you make sure you know what edge needs to be covered, you can just tuck that. So there I'm showing you the very well-loved, very old glitter pens that I use to kind of create the background. And with this 2-page spread, it's actually very different than what I usually do. I usually back my photos, but for this 2-page spread, I decided to try something new, and I decided to not back my photos, just leave them as is. So right here, I'm kind of showing you that if you want to cut glitter, it is always best to use the templates on the back side of the glitter. It's easier to trace, it's easier to see, it's better for your scissors, it's better for your pencils, but I'm just kind of showing you that if no matter what direction you want that heart to be, if you just slide it off and put it to the back and then flip it over to do your tracing, it'll be the direction you intended it to. Because if you put the template down the direction you want on the back side, it's going to be mirrored. So it's just kind of another technique that I learned from Kiwi Lane as well, and it just kind of saves a lot of frustration, especially with like glitter paper and like the more expensive kind of specialty paper. You want to make sure that you're not wasting it. You want to utilize it to the best of your ability. So here I'm just kind of showing you how I'm placing that heart, and then eventually I will put the title on it, and it's just a simple title. It's just his name, Lucky, up in that corner. Those are black enamel or acrylics, actually from, again, close to my heart. I was a former maker, so I have tons of stuff in my stash. So I'm just kind of placing that down. I actually don't glue that down until the end, but just kind of placing it down just so you get kind of an idea of where I'm placing it. I realized that the heart is too low. My biggest thing is I didn't want to cover Emma's face or Lucky's face or body when I was putting the heart over the photo, so I just kind of moved it up a little bit. And again, it was fine. I didn't have any tearing or ripping. So I kind of set that to the side and I start working on the next page. So you can see right there, I overdid it with the black. I think I actually was, when I was smacking the top onto the pen, I kind of hit it and hit into the paper. But I'm going to be covering it up anyway, and I'm just kind of showing you that there's really no worries about that, because even that slit right there, that's going to be covered up. The splatter that I overdid, that's going to be covered up. So there's always nothing to worry about when you are scrapbooking or crafting. You can always just, you can always cover it up with something. You can always just embellish it. There's never any mistakes. There's no need to throw out that paper or turn it around and start over. I just went with it and knew, okay, that's what I need to cover up. So I'm going to make sure when I put that main page or that main sheet with the cats and the pumpkins and stuff, that goes in the direction or where it needs to go. So that's all I was doing, was just kind of lining it up, and just, usually in the past that would have definitely bothered me and I probably would have considered starting over, but really you can always just cover it up. So the main hexagon is from the hexagons from Kiwi Lane, and that was another suggested item that they had, and they brought it out from the vault, and it's really cool. I'll show you at the end of the video how they all kind of nest into each other, and this particular one from this month's kit nests in it too, so it can fit the outside of it, which I thought was really cool too, because it gives you just like added dimension and added layers, and it's beautiful. So right there I'm kind of showing you that I cut out the hearts just in one cluster. So you could actually cut them out all individually. You can make them different colors. I think some of the idea books kind of shows that it's all different pattern paper. I just wanted to add that glitter to that bottom corner, so I kept it all just the one solid glitter color. And I didn't actually cut out kind of the edges. Again, you could do that with an X-Acto knife. You can use it with, a good, nice pair of scissors. I just kept it all one giant heart cluster, because you'll see later that I do end up putting like a cutout piece over that. So it kind of just works with it. But my main point was to bring your eyes from the top left corner down to the bottom right corner of the two pages. And I wanted to add a little bit more glitter without like going over it. So the two main photos I kept flat, and then the actual picture of Lucky I raised up. And you can kind of see that there is some pink in his collar, because originally when we got Lucky, he was so young we didn't even know what gender he was. So that's why we picked the name Lucky as kind of a gender neutral name. So when we did actually find out what gender he was, we didn't have like this overly girly name or overly masculine name for the cat. So if you've ever gotten a kitten before, unless you are a licensed veterinarian, it is very hard until like a certain age to tell what gender they are. But let me tell you, once they hit a certain age, you can definitely tell what gender they are. So it's kind of a funny story as well, how like shocked and surprised my kids were to find out that Lucky was not indeed a girl, but a boy. So it's one of those whole like funny stories that we'll definitely remember, and will probably be in part of some sort of journaling somewhere on this page. Now, like I said, I put that cluster, and then I'm just kind of showing you that there was a page with all these really cute frames that were kind of like just screaming to be cut out. So I originally cut out with that funny, like that fun design with it, but I just did not like how I cut it out. Fussy cutting's not my jam. So I just ended up cutting the circle out. It just made it cleaner lines, and it, didn't bother me. So then I'm going back to the title and just gluing that down, just using our glitter glue, which is one of my absolute favorite types of glue to use. To me, I like it. It dries clear. It's easy to use. I haven't had any issues with it. I know there's other manufacturers of glue out there as well, but this just happens to be the one I always have on hand, and it's my personal favorite. So it's really good to use the liquid glue with these acrylics, because obviously the acrylic's going to need a stronger adhesive to kind of bind it to the page. So now I'm kind of looking back at the pages, and again, this is not intended to be a Halloween themed page, but the stickers and the papers are Halloween, so I really didn't have too much to work with. And I take out that journaling piece, and I play with it for a little bit, and then I end up not using it at all. But I think about it. I think about adding some journaling. Typically, I don't journal on my pages too often. A lot of times I will write the story or the information on the back of the page. I don't know why. It could be that I just don't like my handwriting. It could be that I'm never really sure what story to tell. And honestly, sometimes I just do scrapbook like every day-to-day thing, so there's not really a story. But I will always make sure that there is a date and the names and the location of things on the back. That way, years down the road, if my kids or grandkids or great-grandkids or someone else is looking at them, they can at least see who the people are and what year it was and the location. So I'm going to try to get better at actually telling the story, because the story is important as well. But for now, I didn't actually do any journaling. So in the bottom corner, I decided to add a cat and a bat. And there was a background story for that as well. We would always call Lucky our bat cat because his two front teeth were his canine teeth so not his front teeth. His two canine teeth were too long for his mouth, so they would stick out quite often. So we would call him our vampire cat or our bat cat. So the bat and the cat, yes, I know it's very Halloween themed, but it definitely works out here. Right there, I'm showing you that I'm just kind of clustering them together. And I wanted to raise them up, but I wanted to make sure that they were still movable. So I just take one of those, I think it's for embossing, those embossing pad things, and just pat that on the back of my stickers. And that way they kind of become ephemera, essentially. And then that way I can move them around and raise them up and not have to worry about part of them sticking. So right here, I feel kind of good about that 3 clusters. So I have Lucky, then I have it down in the bottom corner and then over. So your eyes do kind of get drawn on over. I do contemplate if I need another cluster up by Lucky himself, and then Abby is in the other photo. And I end up just using the hearts because although this is, again, a very Halloween themed paper, there were some hearts, there were some stars, and there were some other things that I could have definitely used. And then I go through my stash and kind of figure out what enamel dots would kind of match. Because with this collection, I didn't get the whole collection from Close to My Heart. I literally just got the paper and the sticker sheet, which is very rare. Usually I would get the whole collection, but for this particular one, in my stash, I have the paper and the sticker sheet. And trying to avoid making this overly Halloween, although I pull out my Halloween sequences because they do have the right color theme. They, have the orange and the black, but they don't have that Seabrook blue or bluish green color. So I end up going through all of my stash, and I find these hearts that were definitely intended for shaker cards, but I decided to kind of use those and play around with those. And I play around with placement for a while, but that color is spot on. So that was also from Close to My Heart, and the same color palette. It was just obviously for their Valentine's Day collection, not Halloween, but I am definitely trying to use up my stash. And this really was supposed to be, you know, like a memorial for him, and we loved him, so the little hearts definitely worked. I'm still like, you know, looking at these 2 pages, wondering what I could potentially add, what's kind of missing. You know, maybe that cluster over in the right hand is too much of that orange. Maybe I'll add a little bit something else to it as well. I don't know, but just off of what I have done so far, I do definitely like the 2-page spread that I created, and it was actually really fun using Halloween collection for something that wasn't necessarily Halloween. It was fun yet challenging. Obviously worked really well because it was for our beloved black cat, so it definitely wasn't too much of a challenge, but it definitely was different scrapbooking with Halloween paper in March, I will say that. So here I'm just kind of showing a close-up of what I all did, the little clusters, the splatters. I'm trying to show that it's definitely glitter in the background as well at some point. I'm not even sure if the glitter gets picked up on camera, but it is the shimmer glitter pens, which I absolutely adored, and I have kept those and will keep them until they're completely dry. And then right here, I'm just kind of showing you how the hexagons do nest into each other, which is just a really fun component. These are really versatile. I mean, you can use these for almost anything, and you get a ton of them. So they finally brought them out of the vault, particularly to be used with this collection, but they'll definitely be used over and over again because it's just such a good shape to either put pictures in, pictures on. Again, they're nesting, and you can kind of make really awesome clusters out of them as well. I hope you all give Kiwi Lane a try, and I hope you enjoy these types of videos. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I will see you guys next time with another 2-page spread. Not sure if it's going to be a tutorial or just kind of a walkthrough of what I've already created. But as always, thank you guys so much for joining me. See you all next time, and happy crafting.